All right, so it's looking like Cole Thomas Allen might not have fired a single shot, that the Secret Service agent, I'm Freudian slip, it does kind of look like a circus. The Secret Service agent who was shot likely was fired off by friendly fire. Watch this.
A chaotic weekend in our nation's capital after what appears to be another attempt on the president's life. I'm David Ono.
I'm Giovanna Latta. Over the next hour, we're going to answer the most pressing questions about this attack. First, what exactly happened inside the Washington Hilton Saturday night as the White House Correspondents' Dinner got underway?
And who is the Torrance man believed to be responsible? Plus, how does the White House ballroom project factor into all of this? Our team coverage begins with Rob Hayes, who has new details about the suspect's first appearance in court today. Rob.
David, Cole Allen's arraignment taking just minutes today, but he was hit with 3 federal charges. Afterward, the Department of Justice holding a news conference saying that 5 shots were fired by one Secret Service agent and that other agents were able to tackle Allen and detain him. But what officials could not confirm is who exactly fired the shot that hit a Secret Service agent.
Oh, really?
With his hand in the air and sporting a blue jumpsuit, the man accused of storming the White House Correspondents' Dinner made his first court appearance. 31-year-old Cole Thomas Allen of Torrance was charged today with 3 federal counts, including the attempted assassination of the president.
There will be additional charges as this investigation continues to unfold.
Investigators say Allen traveled by train from L.A. to D.C., booked a room at the Washington Hilton where the event was being held, and used a stairwell out of public view to get to the ballroom lobby. Surveillance video shows Allen trying to charge through security outside the event.
Okay, hold on. Let's just watch him.
Prosecutors say Allen was armed with a pump-action shotgun, pistol, and 3 knives. One Secret Service agent was struck. The bullet stopped by his Kevlar vest. Acting U.S. Attorney General Todd Blanche today saying the investigation is still trying to determine whose weapon is responsible for striking the agent.
Okay. First of all, well, let's listen to this guy.
We do believe that, as the complaint lays out, that the suspect, that the defendant fired it out of his shotgun, and we know that that happened. But as far as getting into exacting ballistics, I'm not going to do that today.
This is the 3rd assassination attempt.
All right. Well, you know why he's not going to get in that today? Because Cole Allen specifically said, and probably what they found loaded into the shotgun was buckshot. And that would not be a single shot to a Secret Service agent hitting him in the vest. That would be multiple shots. So that would spray, like little bullets is what buckshot does. And yet what they have is a Secret Service agent with 1 gunshot, 1 bullet in the vest. And that is not consistent with probably the ammunition that was loaded into the rifle. Todd Blanche, the acting attorney general, also said that he made some strange comments in his press conference. He was saying, well, you can't always find buckshot. Sometimes it disappears. Okay, maybe out in the wild, but not inside of a hotel. Secondly, he says, well, we found a casing. This was actually, according to the New York Times, he said, Mr. Blanche said investigators believed the suspect fired his weapon because, so this is why they believe he fired his weapon. They don't have it on video. No one saw him fire his weapon. But they believe the suspect fired his weapon because a spent shotgun shell was found inside its chamber, but he noted that more forensic examination would be done to determine exactly what happened. So they don't actually know, okay? Let's go over some of the charges, because this is very interesting that it turns out this guy didn't even fire a single shot, and if it turns out the Secret Service was hit by friendly fire, then you know what? This just adds fuel to the flame for the conspiracy theorists who believe that this whole thing was a setup. And maybe it was. Maybe there was something else going on. I mean, this just definitely adds to the speculation of, one, sheer incompetence. I mean, what they were saying there in the news segment was that he had used a stairwell that was away from public view. Are you kidding me? Why wasn't the Secret Service all over the joint? You think that Secret Service would be on the roof, in every stairwell, in the basement, at every single entrance and exit of the place, obviously. So how could he make it up a stairwell that wasn't used by the public? It doesn't matter if it was used by the public or not. Secret Service should have been there. They probably were there. That's why this whole thing just does not pass the smell test. Especially since they've used it to build a ballroom like we're in the time of kings and czars and emperors. Okay, so this is the White House, this is the press conference that was put out by the Office of Public Affairs for the U.S. Department of Justice, and they're saying, oh, look at what this guy used. Here's his weapons. Here's his shotgun. They show us that. They show us the pistol, which he never drew. That's why we don't believe that the gunshot that hit the Secret Service agent was the pistol. What we saw, actually, do we have, yes, we do. Here's the video. So this is the video of him, running. I believe what they're trying to claim is that, okay, let me just pull this up full screen. I believe what so let me back it up, is that this, let me get rid of the lower third so you can see. You see my logo there, it says Iversen. There's a person standing there in the dark, dark person with words on the back of their shirt. I think that's who they're alleging was shot, that's the Secret Service agent. Because that's the one that fired the shots back. And they were saying that the Secret Service agent was hit and then fired back at the suspect. And we see in this video, this Secret Service agent fire at least 4 rounds. So watch, the guy is going to come running in. He comes running in, and then 4 shots were fired. I know that was really fast, but let's see if we can get to where I could kind of show you what I've seen. Okay, the guy, and what we do have clearer images now of Cole running into the room. See if you could see the flashes. You probably can see some of those flashes. You could also just look it up online. There's better images now of the flashes. But we also have better imagery of Cole Allen running into that room, and he's only armed with the shotgun. The pistol is not out. So it is not believed that he ever drew the pistol. So it looks like, whoever hit that Secret Service agent might have been one of the agents on the side. There's a lot of agents there. They're all firing at the guy. This agent's firing 4 rounds at least. I believe that the official claim is that Secret Service agent fired 5 rounds, but we don't see the 5th round in that video. We do see 4 rounds very clearly in that video. And then clearly, I believe they're saying that there were 6 rounds total fired for the whole thing. That includes what Cole Allen shot out. So they're trying to say that Cole got in 1 shot. He fired first, and then the Secret Service agents fired 5 times. And that's what the claim is. But now they're starting to kind of backtrack on whether or not Cole Allen fired a shot at all. And there's questions on who actually hit that Secret Service agent. And now, of course, when things are all crazy and people are shooting, this one Secret Service agent is shooting somebody, then maybe another Secret Service agent starts shooting and hits the first Secret Service agent. That's obviously very possible. It happens all the time. But the question is, so you've got this guy that never fired a shot. He's running through the place, so he's clearly not supposed to be there. And he has a gun, so obviously, I think you shoot at the guy. I'm not going to blame the Secret Service for that. But it's just that this whole thing is not really adding up that well. Just from the choice of weaponry he brought in, the choice of ammunition, these are all very strange. So these are the charges against him, which I suspect that the final charge is probably going to be dropped when they can't find that he actually discharged his firearm. But they've got 3 charges against him: attempt to assassinate the President of the United States, transportation of a firearm and ammunition in interstate commerce with intent to commit a felony, and discharge of a firearm during a crime of violence. But they haven't been able, these are just the charges, of course. They could charge him with anything, but they have to then prove this in court. The thing is, they're not going to be able to prove in court that he ever discharged his firearm. So that's going to go away. And then I don't know exactly what type of punishment comes from the attempt to assassinate the president or transportation of a firearm and ammunition in interstate commerce. But I would imagine that, the guy's not going to get, if he never actually fired his weapon, it's going to be, I don't know. Well, then Ryan Ruth never fired his weapon either. And they put him away for life, I think. So, very bizarre. What is also really bizarre is this administration here. Look at this image. This is the presser that they did right after the event, which is weird enough. And look at their faces. They're all there smiling, smirking, having a good time. You know, I'm sure Trump's cracking jokes, but it's just all a little bit bizarre. And others have caught on to how bizarre it is also to have a presser right after this. Watch, Sky News is even questioning it.
Sorry, James. I was just saying that's quite a remarkable thing. There's mayhem, but the Trump White House machine didn't pause, hardly drew breath before organising the press conference.
Yeah, fascinating, isn't it? Donald Trump. But, you know, we've seen that before.
We've seen that before. Why? Because the other two were staged too. I mean, look, clearly this guy had something wrong. You know, I think that many of us, when we've looked back at what the government has done, and I always go back to those MK Ultra style Project Artichoke, the variety of mind control that the United States government has studied, researched, and tried to use. And I look back at that, and those experiments were done a long time ago, and I'm sure they've gotten better and they've figured things out, and maybe they have better ways to control people. And so I never discount that a person could just be turned into a patsy because they might be under mind control. And I know that sounds like science fiction, but it isn't when we've studied and we have declassified materials of the government doing just that. So when you look at something like that, and then you look at how politically this was used for a ballroom, right? Just in unison, right after this, it's all about the ballroom. It's all about a ballroom. Even Rand Paul has now come out saying, yes, I agree, we need to build a ballroom. And then people have been calling Rand Paul a traitor. And he says, I didn't say with taxpayer dollars. That was Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham is saying that he wants to set aside $400 million for this ballroom, taxpayer dollars for this ballroom, because this has just proven how absolutely important it is that we have a ballroom, that we have our own ballroom. Otherwise, things like this would never happen, is what Lindsey Graham is trying to say. And then Rand Paul kind of chimes in and says the same thing, except he says, yeah, but I just don't want taxpayers to pay for it. Okay, which I guess is certainly better than having taxpayers pay for it. But what is the logic in this ballroom anyway? I mean, think about it for just 2 seconds, guys. So what are you saying? The president of the United States is never going to leave his palace? Is that what it is? He's never going to speak or appear in public ever because you just can't guarantee his safety? Because that's what that would mean. It wouldn't have mattered if this was a White House Correspondents' Dinner or if it was a gala for the State of Israel at AIPAC headquarters. I mean, what does it matter what it is? Are you going to have every single event at the ballroom, every single press conference, every single appearance, every rally, every speech? Is it going to be in the ballroom? Because that's what they're kind of trying to gaslight you into think that they want you to sit there and say, well, yep, see, we need a ballroom. We need a ballroom because we got to keep the president safe. And I'm thinking, so he's never going to leave the ballroom? I mean, because that's where you'd have to have that logic. You'd have to say he's never going to speak anywhere else except inside this ballroom. That's why we have to have the ballroom. And just think about the opulence of this ballroom anyway. I had this a guy on Twitter, Jason Epstein, and what a name, huh? And he says that, yeah, you know, we need a ballroom because, and this is the breakdown he gives. He says the fact the U.S. does not have a ballroom is embarrassing. All Western countries do. And then look at the list he put out. He says United Kingdom has Buckingham Palace. France has Élysée Palace. Italy has the Quirinale Palace. Russia has St. George's Hall, the Grand Kremlin Palace. Belgium, the Royal Palace of Brussels. Spain, the Royal Palace of Madrid. Sweden, the Royal Palace of Stockholm. I mean, this is the list he gives. And no real awareness that these ballrooms were all built by kings and czars and emperors. You know, he mentions Japan's Akasaka Palace. He mentions Russia. And you know, these were literally built by kings, czars, and emperors, and they were a sign of opulence when the little people were struggling, and the people at the top were so completely out of touch with the commoner that they were spending tons of money and commoners' money on building a palace while the people starved. And that is pretty indicative of what's happening today. I mean, here you've got people paying higher prices at the gas pump, people worried that their sons and daughters are going to be shipped off to war for Israel. We've got a pedophile ring that has taken over our government, and nothing is being done about it. People have higher grocery prices. Nothing has happened to help the people. There were tariffs that were put on goods that companies then made back that money by charging us all higher prices. Those companies are getting their money back, but the people aren't. So all the people have seen is we're just getting squeezed. And we're at war, something specifically Americans voted against. And Trump is going on and on about a palace he wants to build, essentially, a palace ballroom for himself as an opulent king, something that he could look back on in time. His children or history books could write about 500 years from now and say, well, the opulent White House Eastern Ballroom was built by Emperor Trump. I mean, what is it? The sheer optics of this. And then you see the left going out there in these various protests of No King's Day, and you think, yeah, you know what? Maybe they're onto something. Maybe this guy does think he's a king. He's canoodling with the king right now of England, and he's trying to build himself a ballroom, just like past kings and czars and emperors. And somehow in that mix, this assassination attempt where the assassin didn't even fire a shot, he had no history of violence, he was somebody who, and not only that, the Secret Service they shot 5 shots or 6 shots. They didn't hit anything. This kid didn't hit anything. We don't even know if he shot at all. All this happens, and they all just go on about a ballroom. It's just the most out of touch, let them eat cake moment, I think, that America has witnessed. And I'm surprised that people like Rand Paul, of all people, are falling for it. It's quite disappointing. Thanks for watching this clip from the full Kim Iversen Show, which you can catch Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, for free at KimIversonShow.com. See you there.